Here it is, guys. Part four. Hit the like button for me. Let's go.
During all that time, and I mean, meeting all these crazy people and celebrities and stuff, is there anything like in retrospect, like a celebrity that you party with, or any crazy like hangover stories
Man, you
without
know,
dropping? You don't have to drop.
let's put it this way. I've partied with so many professional athletes. We're talking like UFC champions. I'm not going to drop names.
Yeah,
Let's say Heisman Trophy winners. I'm not going to say names. Super Bowl champs. You know, World Series champs. I mean, the list can go on.
yeah.
But the top of all the A-list celebrities that like sports betting bet with me. You know, I'm not going to say names, obviously. The top athletes in the world bet with me.
Anybody like that? When you look back, you're like, God, this guy just like giving money away. Because I was just tripping because it's funny. I just read about Bruno Mars, and the guy said how he allegedly lost like 52 million to the MGM, and then they're like, dude, we're gonna have to make this just something you got to make it right. And there was another guy. He said, well, the MGM said you're gonna go ahead and be our residents
Yeah.
to work that 52. They say he lost 52. I don't know if that's true, but
believe
that's
it.
the rumor.
I believe it. That makes sense. I
Yeah.
mean, look at Phil Mickelson, the golfer. You know how much money that guy would lose to all these bookies and stiff them, and people would try to go collect, and next thing you know, he's pointing fingers at people. So there, I see it. But at least Bruno Mars is trying to work it off.
Yeah.
Listen, I've had guys owe $500,000, and we've had to try to go collect it with the Booyah tribe.
If you look at Bruno Mars' career and how it has transpired, he definitely owes that money because that's all he's been doing is his residency for the MGM.
I've had some situations that I don't like to be put in.
Yeah.
And
I mean, when you're dealing with a gambler like that, because I've heard stories. I read the book when I was locked up about I don't know if you even know the guy who gambled with Michael Jordan on golf.
oh yeah,
And that story, remember, Michael Jordan lost like $250,000, $500,000 to him, and then he's let Michael stay at his house. And the dude from San Diego,
Yeah,
and he's
yeah.
like, Michael, to you it might not be a lot of money, but that's a lot of money to me.
That's right.
And he's like, Michael, like, oh, talk to my accountant and this and that. And he's like, it took him like, I don't know how long for him to pay him off, but he's like, Michael still be betting, trying to, and then he got into $500,000, and then he's like, oh, I'm good for it. And it was just like crazy, man.
yeah. The best client I had as a gambler would be another bookie. You'd be surprised that
Okay.
bookies, they have sometimes these bookies, they feel like they're sharp or wise, like they get inside information. They can
Like
you can't beat the house.
Yeah, yeah.
Vegas is
Yeah.
standing for a reason.
Yeah.
So I had this famous bookie, I'll say his name because he's a good friend of mine, Matt Boyer, who was the bookie for Shogun Otani, the Dodger.
Okay.
He got,
that guy.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
So he
That's
got he
crazy.
just got indicted.
Yeah.
He's in this big mess with Resort World, but this guy would lose like $250,000 on the golf course with me,
Yeah.
just gambling on golf.
Why?
We're just playing
That's what I'm
golf.
talking
How
about.
much a hole?
Oh, dude, it would get up to like 50,000 a hole. One time we played his
Why?
Cadillac Escalade on the golf course, and
Oh
I
my
beat him for his
God.
Escalade.
I'm
He's like,
broke.
here's the pink slip. Let's bet this. I mean, he was a degenerate, and he would chase. So we'd go to Pebble Beach, and I remember I'm like, man, we got to give him just a little. Like, I got to give him a little back so he just keeps coming back. Like, I don't want to lose him.
Yeah.
So I remember I'd lose like 80,000 on purpose. And just like, just get
Yeah.
him, come on, baby. And he would just like, he'd feel like he still's got a chance, He'd get me
So he
for
just
80.
was just like just one of
And
those guys.
at the same time, he's on the line with that O-Dog in Costa Rica. Hey, I need to put 50,000 on the Angels tonight. And I'm like, yeah, I got him right where I want him. And I had at times he'd be down like $1 million. And it's like, man, the money's good because he's
Yeah.
a bookie.
So he's got it
He's
covered
already
all-
got
yeah,
he's
yeah.
already got it covered in. So I'm going to
Just
take that.
give
action
me
all
the
day
money.
long
Just give it
because
to
I
me.
know he's honorable. I know he's going to pay me. I don't care if I got to get paid in a month. This is my boy, So I would let him, run his tab high, knowing that, he's going to lose it. He's going to lose eventually, whether it's on the golf course or on the sports book.
What's the craziest bet you like witnessed? Because I know that
I want to hear this.
there's that other guy. He's a famous gambler too, and the guys bet him was it 50 or 100,000 he wouldn't get breast implants. You remember that guy?
Oh, yeah,
The story
yeah,
about
yeah.
that he had breast implants, and for a whole year he wore them, and then he's like he got so much attention he wasn't going to take them out.
Yeah, the biggest bet I took was from Matt.
What?
Matt Boyer. He was down. I think he was down like 800,000 with me, and he's like,
I'm gonna have to
"Come
look
on, let
at
me
it.
just put 500 on the Super Bowl." I'm like, man, I don't, dude, you're down 800. Let's just pay me the 8 and let's settle. I'll give you a discount. No, no, let me bet 5 on the Super Bowl. I'll pay you as soon as the Super Bowl's over, win or lose. I'm like, man, he's already down 8.
Yeah.
Let's bet about $500,000, right? So he bet and he hit me. He cracked me for 500.
Oh
But at the
shit.
end of the day, guess what? He was down 8, so he still owed me 3. And
Yeah,
he did
yeah.
the honorable thing, and he came and he gave me the 300,000. And if he would have lost, obviously I would have, got him for what's that, 1.3.
Yeah.
But
In the
that's just part of the
world?
game. You're eventually always going to lose. You can't beat
500,000
the
on the
house.
Lakers.
So
No.
that was my motto. Like I know if a customer gets on a hot streak, I know in the end of the day, if I keep taking him to have cocktails and I keep taking him golfing, he's going to eventually lose that money.
Yeah, on a small note, I remember I ran the ticket for a guy in prison, and I had a guy. He's a big weed dealer, this Mexican guy. But he was always betting. I'm like, this good. I was good for like 200-300 a week because he'd be like, them parlays.
Yeah,
He'd
yeah.
be like, when he hit, I'm like, okay, he's all excited, but he had lost like a couple thousand already.
Yeah.
And then I had another guy. He would same thing. He was a degenerate, always losing. I'm like, I had the Asian guy ran the ticket for it, but yeah, just in prison on a small level, I seen it because gambling's big in prison.
Huge.
I mean, dudes are like, dude, there's dudes like when football season and fucking basketball season.
You guys are
all
betting
day.
Cash App,
Yep.
money on the wood.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what I like about the Vegas or the prison gambling system, though, for a guy like you that's running a ticket, you always get paid. You
Yeah.
don't care about whether the guy wins or loses because you're taking your money right off the top.
Yeah.
And that's always bothered me. Like I ran a ticket too in the inside just to, I was good at it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And they're telling me I got to pay 20% off the top. I'm like, well, how does that make sense? Like, they make commission on everything. I said, no, on the street, this is how it works. You don't make a commission unless your customer loses. So if you collect $1,000 inside prison, you're only giving the house 800 and you're keeping 200, whether they lose or
Yeah.
win. So as a bookie, you're like, it's not a good situation. So what I did in prison is I dropped my odds where, for a 10 pick, you're getting paid 8-1, but people are playing it because I'm the only bookie in town. I'm the only one that knows how to do it. So I remember I was like, oh man, I can trick these guys. You want to take that 20% and not worry about winning or losing? That's not fair to the house. So I would trick the odds, and I'd make it like a two team, pay 2-1 when it should pay 2.5-1. And
Yeah.
a tie would be a loss when it should be a tie would be you get your money back. So I put all these little
You just
tricks.
played a little bit
little
tweaking.
things. Yeah, I
Yeah,
can
yeah,
tweak
yeah,
it. You
yeah.
guys wanted your commission, no problem. People would complain, oh man, that's not. Who else are you going to
Yeah.
bet with? You don't have to bet with me.
Yeah.
Go. Oh wait.
And they're
There's-
addicted, so
there's-
they're gonna
yeah,
do it. Yeah, they're
there's
gonna do
no
it.
one you could bet with because I'm the
Yeah.
only guy in town. So I played the game,
Yeah.
and that was fun.
Yeah. It was something like
Something to kill your mind.
yeah, and I don't want to get into anything, anything grimy. And that was just like, for the most part. And even in there, it's funny, like you said, that, collecting on guys. I remember this guy, he kept losing. And I remember one time I said, oh, I know this guy lost. I went back to the cell and this dude had broke into the locker and stole the
No.
ticket. I'm looking for the ticket, like, where's that? And the dude's like, oh man, what do you mean? I don't. And I'm like, man, somebody came in here. So he had a lookout.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
knew I was in a law library.
No
And
way.
dude, that's how scared
Gambling.
because he had lost he
Like
was
a straight dope fiend.
straight dope, man. I said, even in jail. And he
Yeah.
had some other guy had cleaned it and switched it and gave it back to where he didn't. I'm like,
Oh,
man,
that's
this dude was
dirty.
some gang members. So it was like became a political situation.
Yeah.
I said, damn, these dudes are that desperate.
Desperate. It's not supposed to be like that in prison.
Nah.
Everyone's supposed to be honorable.
But yeah, he was
What?
because he was like, losing,
prison y'all talking
And
about?
like I said, it was just commissary money.
Yeah. That's all it is.
So it's like, yeah, man. But it's always funny because even on the street, I know some guys who work like little gambling parties where they have the like in LA underground poker game.
Yeah.
And the guy was telling me there were some guys, he talking about crazy bets. They were betting. The guys bet, I bet 5,000 I could hold my breath for a minute underwater. And the dude would put his head, and he had a big fountain. He put his head down there, and he'd come up like 30 seconds. So that's only 30 seconds. Double or nothing. And these dudes are like betting, and I'm like, that's insane, man.
Hey, you know what my favorite bet in prison was? When a guy would bet his like Thanksgiving tray.
Oh man!
Hey,
You know that's like
you're a
oh,
degenerate.
you're
If you're gonna
degenerate.
bet your
The crazy ass
Thanksgiving,
once a year.
yeah, once a year.
Oh, what about remember they be gambling the bags?
The
Remember
bags, the Christmas bags, yeah.
Oh, dude like got about 4 or 5
Dude.
Christmas bags. Dude walking around, no candy.
Yeah, nothing. Hey, that's I
Oh,
used to love those Christmas bags. That was a commodity right
oh
there.
my
That was
God.
the best
Dude,
currency there was.
because that stuff you would only have it once a year. So later on, it'd be like, dude, I'll trade you. Like, what? You still got
Yeah.
that from
Yeah,
Christmas?
you still got Cool Light? Yeah. You got that Crystal Light? Yeah, I got that
Oh
fucking lemonade.
man,
Yeah,
that shit is crazy,
the
man.
Tang, remember the Tang?
The Tang,
Yeah.
the special chocolates up in
Oh,
there,
yeah.
all that shit, man. And it's like holiday time. It's like that's the most depressing shit, man.
Oh, yeah.
Dude,
And the
these-
bag got smaller and smaller
It
every year.
did.
Did you notice that?
Yeah, it did get
Yeah.
smaller and smaller. And that those bags, literally, like dudes would be like trying to hustle them to get extra from the guards to slang them.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause
Dude,
they
guys
was, you
would
know,
sell them like $50.
yeah, yeah. The bags were crazy hustle on the side. Uh, when you look back and you see like now you see like when you hear about the gambling, it doesn't. It's like it's not going to go away. I mean, Vegas is it's such a it's such a money house. And what's even crazy, like on the gambling tip, I have a friend who's a professional gambler, but he does horses, and he'd be doing so many bets, and like he knew how to mathematically do it to where he would consistently win. So he was betting. He would tell me like some of these bookmakers, whether you win or lose, if you bet 1 million, they give you a quarter million back regardless, win or
Yeah.
lose. And he said that, but how scandalous the game is, he had found out like looking at someone's tickets, he's like, damn, hold on, this one paid $2,000. Why they only give me 1,800 on this one and 1,500? Because he wasn't paying attention. But they found out that they were even getting over. So it's like these bookmakers are making so much money and they're still like robbing customers, man.
Like you could charge 20% for every bet. Like the norm is
Greedy,
like
man.
10%. So like for $100, you risk 110 to win 100.
Yeah.
But like if you got a guy that doesn't know anything better, you could say, okay, it's $120 to win 100. So when he loses, he's really losing 20%.
Well, he was, I think he would, when he was winning, because he was doing so many, I don't think he was looking at every, because he was, the averages, they were like, but he don't know how long they had got over.
Yeah.
And when he pointed it out, they kicked him out the hotel.
No way.
Yeah, so that's how scandalous
Yeah.
the game is, you know? So it's like, you're like thinking like, damn, you guys are making millions, but you're still like robbing the people who
Yeah.
are,
They
you know?
gotta have an edge.
I know. It's like, it's wild, man. So that whole gambling, the lifestyle is just, it's crazy, man. Is it, what out of all the stuff that you experienced, what do you think back, what gave you the biggest adrenaline rush and what do you miss the most about it?
Man, that's a good question. At first it was that sports bet, watching a game, and you got like $500,000 on a game and you're cheering for the Raiders and they lose that game and you're like, fuck, that felt like that rush you feel like people like, so that rush you feel like, do people gamble to win and they feel good? No, they feel the most when they lose. So for me, like
For the loss.
For the loss.
Wow.
So like a degenerate gambler, he keeps chasing that win, but guess what happens? He wins and he goes and bets it again. And then that's when he feels it when he loses, because he knows he's gonna pay.
So it's like a reverse,
It's a
like
reverse.
endorphin rush.
It's exactly. So
and it's negative.
for me, it was kind of like that. Like I was making so much money that rush would happen when I would lose. And that's not good.
Oh,
So
shit.
then
Not at all.
I said, okay, I need a new rush. And my new rush was when I was sending 20 kilos of cocaine into Australia. My new rush was making sure those wine bottles cleared customs.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
when I got that message on that encrypted phone saying, hey, the wine has arrived, and that still to this day, look at those goosebumps. I would be like, oh, fuck yeah. Because that's 20 kilos.
Yeah.
So I already know that my profit's $1 million. And a Hefe's making his million. So we all win.
Now, Australia, did you have a lot of competition? Because I mean, when I watch like the mob story and I see Australia, it looks like a lot of the bikers run a lot of the drugs over there, so they're like mobbed up. So was that a problem when the people seen you kind of stepped on toes?
I was a ghost.
Oh wow.
So
okay.
I just stayed out of the way.
I got
and
you,
like
got
I
you.
told you, I had this Italian associate that kind of handled it for me.
So you're cool then. You didn't.
So
like,
I
yeah,
sat back.
Yeah,
No one knew who I was.
that's right.
He worked probably with somebody that was inside the biker gang, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I didn't care.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, at the time when we were over there, this was like 2011, 2012. So you got to understand, like, the cartel I work for, we were the only show in town. And now everyone's figured out how to route. So now the bird prices drop. Like we were getting 100 wholesale, and at my prime, like 2012, we were making 150,000 wholesale. So they're turning around making 300,000. They're stepping it 3 times. They're taking one and turning it into 3. So now, people are like, "Hey, I'm in prison." They're like, "Hey, you don't want to work again?" I said, "Fuck no, I'm not working again. Are you out of your mind?" I said, I'm in here for a reason, man."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, come on, man, you got the contacts." I said, "Nah, nah." He goes, "Yeah, you could get 75,000 a key over there." I'm like, "Well, I was getting 150 like at wholesale."
Yeah.
So I know the prices have dropped
I
down.
think the chance flooded now. Yeah.
People have figured out the routes.
That's a drop.
Yeah. And tell us about your book, man. You got a book out, man.
Yeah, the book was fun. When I was incarcerated, we got locked down. I was in MDCLA. I was getting transferred during COVID, right? And a Mexican mafia had put a hit on one of his soldiers that owed some money, and the guy died. He wasn't supposed to die, and they shut down the prison for 9 months. We were locked down in our cells, and I was like, "Man, I'm going crazy." I'm like, "What am I going to do?" You can only do so many burpees, and I'm like, man, I said, "You know what? It's time. Like, let's start to write. Let's start to write down what landed me in prison. Like how did I end up here?" So I wrote that book while I was incarcerated, and I wrote it from beginning of my childhood until up to my arrest, and it was like a relief to get it off my chest, And it saved me because I was going crazy in there. I got ADD like a motherfucker, so I was writing this book. And finally, when we got off lockdown, I found this ghostwriter, and I said, "Hey, you want to go 50-50? Let's be partners on this." And he goes, "Dude, I love your story. I've read about it in Rolling Stones. I've read about it in Vice Magazine, LA Times." He goes, "You got a badass story. I'll be your ghostwriter." So for the next 2 years, he would interview me off the prison phones for 15 minutes. You get the 15-minute phone calls. And he would record phone calls. And then I would just send him all the notes that I wrote during that 9-month lockdown. And I just kept sending him the notes. And we generated this book. And I was so blessed to be able to get out. You'll hear about how I got out later on. I'm going to keep that confidential for now, but I wasn't supposed to get out. Let's put it that way. So
Yeah, I need that
the
story.
idea was to sell the book while I was incarcerated, and then when I got out, I was going to make a second book, call it "My Life Behind the Fence," because there's so much more to the story that happened. So when I got out and they said, "Hey, your book's published. It's going to release Black Friday," I was like, "Oh, this is great. So what do I do?" And now they're like, "Hey, when we sell a book on your website, thecaliforniakid.com, it would be cool as if you gave a personal inspirational message with your signature on each book that they buy through your website." I said, "No problem." So that's what I've been doing. I'm still living in the Federal Bureau of Prisons halfway house, and they give me 12 hours a day to go to an office where, I sign books, I film content, and talk about my prison experience. So it's been a blessing that I got out, and this came out right when I was released, and I'm so blessed to be able to do all this while I'm at the halfway house, because a lot of people at the halfway house, they don't have anything to do. They're smoking that Tucci, and they're still getting high all day, and they're laying on their bed not working. It's like, man,
I know.
you guys need to rehabilitate.
Well, you look at like in the halfway house, it's kind of because I know when you go to, you feel like you're
Hey, Owen, don't do that. That was kind of a little snitch move right there.
paper for your passes, and some of the people you look at him like, damn, this dude, man. You
Yeah,
just look like they're either going back or they ain't got nothing going on.
Yeah.
It's like, on the weekends they're looking at like, partying, getting high, and I'm like, or drinking. I'm like,
Yeah, those itineraries, those are some of
Oh,
the chart.
my God.
Man, everywhere you go, they're like, "Mr.
Detail,
Hanson,
yeah.
Mr. Hanson, where are you at?" I said,
Yep.
"I'm exactly where the itinerary
Yeah,
says I'm at."
yeah. They check the phone.
Yeah,
Hey, are you there? And it's
yeah.
like trying to catch you lying.
Yeah, they try to catch you. "Come outside, Mr. Hanson."
Yep.
Okay, I'm outside.
Yeah.
Like,
Hey, look, okay, yeah.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
there. Like, I ain't fucking this up.
No.
I got blessed. The judge put me in prison for a reason,
Yeah.
to rehabilitate. And guess
Yeah.
what? That's what I did. And I got my master's degree while I was incarcerated.
Okay.
I went through a California Coast University, and it
Okay.
was a correspondence. So, I worked out, got my master's. I wrote a book. I mean, what more can you ask for if you're on the other side? Like, that's rehabilitation right there.
What would you tell like any youngster like watching this video that's like, oh man, they think they're out there making moves, or they're dreaming of going to USC, or trying to find their way, who has dreams and ambitions, what would you?
You know what I'd say, Big Herc? Stay in your lane. Once you cross that lane into illegal activity and you're trying to fit in, like I was trying to fit in with these rich kids and then eventually fit in with these professional athletes, that's what got me in trouble. It's like that story, the turtle and the hare, the rabbit.
Yeah,
Who's going to make the race? If you're slow and steady, you're going to win the race, just like
yeah,
that turtle wins that race. But if you try to cut corners like that rabbit and try to speed up, guess what? You're going to end up in federal prison. And I went down that rabbit hole. And once you're down that rabbit hole making $1 million a day, you know how hard it is to come back out and work a legitimate 9 to 5? It's not going to happen.
yeah,
So my advice is just slow and steady.
yeah,
Because if I was slow and steady, I'd be out. I'd be with my friends. I'd probably have kids,
yeah,
nice house. Government took everything I ever owned. So I got to start. I'm 42
Damn.
years old, starting from scratch,
yeah,
Damn.
and it's very humbling.
yeah.
Mm.
Well, I'm glad we got the opportunity to do
Yeah,
the interview,
thanks for
man.
having
We've
me.
been talking about it for
Yeah, for a long
months,
time.
for a minute, man. So I'm glad, I definitely want to do a follow up once you kind of get your thing.
Before I forget, hey, you know how I heard about you, Big Herc? I was in Colorado, right? In federal prison in Colorado.
Okay.
And this officer Bonner, I'll never forget the correctional officer Bonner said, Hanson, you know what you'd be good at? You'd be good at this. There's this guy named Big Herc. You need to get on his show. I said, Big Herc, what's that? Like, I didn't know anything about you, right? So I ran to my Russian friend who had one of those jacks, right? And I said, hey, let me get on that phone real quick. Let me see it. I said, let's look up Big Herc. And I remember I seen you and Wes Watson on this interview. I was like, man, now I know what Officer Bonner's talking about, and that's how I learned about you. And then when I got out, my co-defendant Tang said, yeah, Big Herc's our boy. I said, what? No fucking way.
I've known him like a decade.
Yeah, so I was like, there's no way, man. I was just talking about this guy to a correctional officer here. He said, Big Herc's the man. I said, man, I want to be on Big Herc one day.
That's
So
dope,
here we
man.
are, man.
That's dope. It's such a small world. I'm
Yeah.
glad he had that connection.
Yeah.
And like when Tank said, oh, yeah, man, we're going to link up. And then it's
You
like,
gotta
okay,
be
well, shit,
kidding
we
me,
all,
bro.
we're all in
You
the
gotta
same
be
boat.
joking.
Man.
Yeah, we all know each other. We're all part of that 1%.
Yeah. So I appreciate it, man. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And you know how we do it over here. You guys hit that like, hit that subscribe. Big Herc 916, fresh out, Owen Hanson.
You have got to be joking. If you have been following this on my channel and listen to anything that I've said, I have been saying throughout this whole thing, this guy just happens to have the best relationships. Get my co-defendant happened to know you. Oh yeah, I've known him for 10 years, bruh. I'm gonna say it again. It's not what you know, it's who you know, guys. Please, if you have relationships that are worth keeping, keep them. Get to know more people. I don't know. I wasn't even gonna say anything. I was just gonna cut this off. But he just, of course, yeah, I just happen to know so and so. I need more friends. Hey man, come be my friend. Hit the subscribe, send me a message. So whenever he drops the content about how he got his deal, I'll be sure to cover it here. Thanks for tuning in. I've been Jay Stat. That ain't this. Peace. This motherfucker, man.